This is the Tenor D, a phone from a particularly new brand, Tenor by Amazon. But these devices lately have been a blast in the market because these cater the so-called budget segment, which was till now captured by the Chinese brands. But no brand can have their monotony for too long, or can they? So here is my experience with this $100 smartphone. So there are a couple of things that this phone does a bit different than the competition, giving it a slight edge. So the combination of the design and the software takes the cake for me because you just don't need to compromise with either the design or with some random heavily skinned version of Android. What you're getting here is the stock Android experience and its fluidity, which is a win-win situation for me. So first of all, let's talk about the design, which at this price point is not compromised at all, as I mentioned earlier. Because even though this is a plastic body, but the feel in hand is pretty comparable to some higher priced devices, and even though the design isn't something revolutionary, it's mostly the same overall look that most of the devices have these days, and this has a bit of heft to it as well. The fingerprint sensor is at the optimal location where your finger rests, and it isn't the fastest in the world, but is a super nice touch to have this at this price point. So kudos to Tenor. This device doesn't have the regular capacitive touch buttons, but instead comes with the software keys, and I don't have any personal issues with that. The gold color is a bit flashy in my opinion though, so I would really push you towards the black variant, which looks super slick. The software is almost stock Android Nougat and has already received updates twice since the day I have it, so that is pretty commendable. Now comes the second most important part, that is the performance, and the Snapdragon 425 SoC works quite well. The overall usability is pretty excellent and I didn't face any major hangs or slowdowns except at one point. So me being a heavy social media user gets notification bombed quite often, and when I connect this to the Wi-Fi network and the notification squad comes in, it tends to lag quite a lot, but after about 15 to 20 seconds it comes back to the proper fluidity, so you should better keep this in mind. And surprisingly, the 3500 mAh battery served me quite well, as the 5.2-inch 720p display doesn't consume that much of power, so it can easily last you a day on normal usage. And yeah, it has dual SIMs with 3GB of RAM and 32GB of internal storage on this particular variant, and you can get the lower variant with the 2N16 combo as well, and can throw in a micro SD. And yeah, totally forgot to mention that this doesn't have a light sensor, so yeah. The overall display quality is quite nice, the colors are rich and the contrast is on point where it should have been, so the overall display quality is quite nice. Now let's talk about that camera, which if you guys don't know, I'm a huge sucker for in any smartphone. So if we come to talk about the numbers, it's a 13 megapixel sensor at the back and 5 at front. But as you guys know, I'm not a guy who believes in numbers, so the performance is pretty decent, but it struggles at low light, which is quite expected. And yeah, before you guys start judging, just keep the fact in mind the price of this device. The dynamic range is pretty okay and the detail is there in the shot, and I don't know why, but the viewfinder shows a bit of over sharpened image, but once you click the image everything goes back to normal and it's not over sharpened as it was looking in the viewfinder. Overall, a real nice shooter to be packed in such an affordable device, and yeah, the selfies are nice as well, not much detail though, but gets the job done. The speakers are pretty loud but are back facing, so they have given this little bump to keep it from blocking when placed on a flat surface. Now one thing that I just can't get over it is the button placement, because the power button is on top of the volume rocker, so no matter how much I try, I always tend to hit the volume button first. So yeah, that is one issue for me, but we can get used to it after a while, so that's not a major problem. Now is this an ultimate package for the price of about 5 or 6,000 INR? And I'm leaning towards a big yes, because this mostly has everything that a beginner or medium to light user wants, and it basically does most of the parts on point, and that's a major fact why I gifted this to my mom and she absolutely loved it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you to check this one out. And that's about it guys, you all know what to do, hit those damn buttons, and this is Abhi signing off.
Hey, what's up guys, Abhi here, back with another video, and this is my full review of the Tenor D.
because I can drop it anytime. I'm throwing it like a madman and it can drop anytime. It can drop.
Solely.
It dropped! Yay! You can see tough quality. अभी इस पे हम चक्कू मारेंगे.